Hey y'all, it's me, Amy D. McKnight from Davidson Fiber Arts, and in this video I'm going to be giving you some information about the heddles that go in rigid heddle looms. I'm going to be talking specifically about heddles that come with the Ashford looms or heddles that can be bought for Ashford products, but a lot of this information will be transferable to other looms. So right now I'm just kind of organizing my heddles. I brought one that I didn't need, and so I'm just getting everything straight for you. But while I'm getting this part set up, um, basically your heddles, if you are a knitter or a crocheter, your heddles kind of work like the different sizes of your needles work, so that you would use different needles with your different weights of string. That's kind of sort of how the heddles work. You can use different heddles for different weights of string. And I'm going to be speaking as I talk about these in terms of string that knitters or crocheters would use. First up, we have the heddle that comes with your loom. It is a 7.5 dent heddle. This is the heddle that you would use with worsted weight yarn. I'm telling you that the little dot that you're going to see on these heddles, that's the center of the heddle, and that is how you would center your work in the heddle so that everything is even, and you want to center your work when you're weaving. Next up, we have the 10 dent heddle. As you can see, the spacing between the slots and the holes are more dense, and that is the heddle that you would use with a 3 or a sports weight yarn. I think that's what it's called, sports weight yarn, number 3 yarn. These are only guidelines. If you watch a lot of what I do, you'll notice that I use lace weight yarn in my 7.5 dent heddle. So these are totally guidelines. Next up, we have our 12.5 dent heddle or a 12 dent heddle, and this is a heddle that you would use with your number 2 or your your number 2 yarn. And last up, this is the 15 dent heddle, and this is the heddle that you would use with lace weight yarn. It's a number 1 weight yarn. As you can see, the spacing, the density between the slots and the holes are much greater in the 15 dent. It's double the density of the 7.5 dent, and you see the difference between the holes and the slots between the 7.5 dent and the 12.5 dent heddle. So those are some of the heddles, but I am missing 2. So next up, I'm going to show you the heddles that I was missing. Now, these are the heddles that work with thinner threads. We have the 7.5, 10, 12.5, and 15. But say you want to work with thicker threads. You want to use a 5 dent heddle or a 2.5 dent. I'm going to tell you about those in a minute. All right, so here we have our 2.5 dent heddle. These would work with your super bulky yarns or your hand spun. This is a 5 dent heddle, and this would work with your 5 bulky yarn. And again, this is your 7.5 dent heddle, which is what comes with your loom, and you can see that the spacing between these are a whole lot different. And I'm going through these again. This one works with your number 3 yarn. This is a 10 dent heddle. It works with your 3 yarn. This is the 12.5, which works with your lighter weight or your really lightweight 2 weight yarn. And finally, we have our 15 dent heddle. This is what works with your lace weight, your super fine yarns. So yes, there you go. You can see that's a 15 dent, and you can see the spacing is very, very close. The Ashford looms are, I think, one of the only brands that have the biggest spaced yarn at 2.5 and the smallest space at 15 dent. All right, I'm showing you that 7 dent again, and this is the variable dent reed. There is that 5.5 dent heddle that works with the thick yarns, and again, we're going to have our 2.5 dent heddle that works with the super bulky yarns. And dents is just the space, the number of slots and spaces that are found in 1 inch. So when I have if I have a 7.5 dent, that just means that there's 7.5 slots and spaces within an inch. That's how it's measured, because the threads are running up and down through the slots and spaces in this heddle. Now, this is my variable dent heddle, and I am I had it without anything in there so you can kind of sort of understand better that it's kind of like Legos for weaving. You're going to be able to put in the little pieces, as you can see when you get this little Heddle, and they have different each of these you can get them for whatever type Ashford loom that you have. If you have an Ashford, I think other manufacturers also have variable dent heddles for their looms as well. Now, here's a secret. You need to loosen both ends when you're trying to put these pieces in there. I had totally forgotten that, but it's good so they don't happen to you. So if it's not sliding all the way down and you're putting it in there, you probably need to loosen the end that you're trying to push it down towards so that it will slip down there nicely. So loosen it up a little bit. You'll tighten it more when you get everything in there the way you want. So as you can see, the variable dent reed allows you to be able to put different pieces in there, and you can weave with different weights of yarn, or you can use similar weights of yarn spaced at different spacings to get a different effect. So you can do a whole lot of cool stuff with the variable dent reed. I don't really have a pattern in mind. I think I'm going to show you a little bit later on in this video how you might want to just line everything up before you start putting them in the variable dent reed. It kind of makes it more straightforward. You also want to make sure that all of your little pieces are going in the same direction. You want the smooth side, and there's a smooth side and there's a notched side, so you want to make sure that they're all going in the same direction. I generally keep my smooth side to my right and my notched side to my left. And depending on the configuration, sometimes you can get a few more in than others and get it completely to the edge. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of space on your edges, and if you do, you're going to want to make sure that you kind of evenly space out the pieces on both sides so that your work is centered in the heddle before you tighten down both sides of your little screw. And so as you can see with this configuration, I'm doing like you know, some worsted weight and then some bulky weight. I have the bulky weight size in, and then on my left side I have a lot of super fine weight Heddles for super fine weight yarn now, or a size 1 and a size 2 weight yarn. I'm not sure if I'd actually do anything with this type of configuration, but I'm just kind of showing you so you can get an idea of how you put the pieces in there and how it all works. What's really kind of cool, I think, about the variable dent reed is that if you're going to just be weaving a lot of scarves and such, then, and you're going to be weaving, I guess, relatively narrow scarves, the pieces that you get with the kit, you get two 2-inch pieces, mind blank, and one 4-inch piece. So theoretically, you could weave an 8-inch scarf if you just put the pieces side by side together and then just, you know, use the other pieces to space it so it's centered in the heddle. And that's a good way to just kind of try out different types of heddles before you invest in getting a whole set like what I have. I have 2 of each of the Heddles sizes 10 through 15. So I have 2 of the size 10, size 12, and size 15 dent. I do not have any of the larger sizes because I don't tend to use large yarn in my warp. But if you do, or you have a lot of I'm gonna leave this in. If you have a lot of you know, bulky or super bulky yarn, you might want to get a heddle that allows you to weave with that in the warp. If you put that both in the warp and the weft, you could make some scarves super fast. Anybody thinking about last minute Christmas gifts in February? Well, I've told you now so that in December, the 20s of December, you will remember this and get yourself a heddle and make some quick Christmas scarves for those people on your list. Anyway, I am doing right now what probably is the better way to do it. If you kind of have an idea of what you want to do, you can use the variable dent sections and kind of space them out and do that before you try to put them into your variable dent reed. And then that way you can get an idea and, you know, play with it before you have to fight with, it's not really a fight, but before you have to put it in there. So anyway, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about anything about the heddles or the way that the yarn works in them, just ask me in the comments below. I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but if I don't know the answer, I will go looking for it for you and get back with you or make another video. So that's it for this video. If you're on YouTube, rate, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching me on Instagram, give me a like. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, leave me a comment and let me know if this was helpful for you. All right then, hope y'all have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.